Hi everyone! Welcome to Artsonia's After School Art Club. Today we have a fun art project from Cassie Walker, an art teacher from Utah. Hope you enjoy the video and don't forget to have your artwork uploaded to your Artsonia gallery.
Hi kids, welcome to Artsonia's After School Art Club. My name is Cassie Walker and I am going to be showing you how to draw a desert landscape today. For today's project, you are going to need a piece of drawing paper, and I am going to show you a technique to turn it into a watercolor at the end. So if you are interested in doing the watercolor technique, you will want to have a thicker piece of paper like cardstock. You'll also need something to draw with. You can use a pencil, a pen, a Sharpie. They all work just fine. I'm also going to be using washable Crayola markers. The colors I'll be using for this project are pink, green, orange, gray, brown, and yellow. I'm also going to be using a ruler, but you could use any straight edge you have. You could use the side of a book or a box. And then I have a cup of water with a small watercolor paintbrush. For our first step, we are going to create a horizon line. A horizon line is our imaginary line where the ground and the sky meet. I am going to go about a little higher than halfway, and I'm going to draw a line across my paper. Now, because it's a landscape, I'm not worried about it being a perfect line. In fact, if it's a little bit curvy, it makes it look more natural. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some mountains that are far off in the distance. For these, it's just going to be a wavy line. Go all the way across. The next thing I'm going to add is my setting sun. And that is just making a rainbow over the back side of my mountains. Now for this project, I do want to add train tracks. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to find a point along my horizon line, and I'm going to make a little dot. That is called my vanishing point. It's where I want my train tracks to disappear to. I am going to put my pencil or my pen or my Sharpie right on that dot and move my ruler right up to it. I'm going to make my line not straight down on my paper, but slightly diagonal. I'm going to connect that line there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side where I put my pencil or my pen or my Sharpie right on that dot with my ruler right next to it, only this time the diagonal is going to go in the opposite direction. So from here, we're going to create the railroad ties along the train tracks. Instead of measuring it out, I'm just going to estimate. If I had a train that was far in the distance, my tracks would be really close together. But as I go further down the train, my tracks start to appear wider. And they're spaced further apart. Now, I'm not worried that they're not perfectly straight, because these are old railroad ties. So they're supposed to look worn and weathered. I go a little bit past my train tracks, and I am just making each rectangle a little bit larger as I work my way down the page. Now, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause the video. You're also welcome to use a pencil so that if you need to make changes, you can adjust them as you go. And now my last railroad tie is actually going to come right off the page. Now that I've added my train tracks, I'm going to add some vegetation in my desert landscape. The things at the bottom of my page are going to be closer to me, so they will be larger. The further up I go in my landscape, the smaller I want my drawings to appear. because that is looking like it's far away. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom, and I'm going to add a line for some rocks. On top of this line, again, I'm not making my lines really straight. They're a little bit curvy because things in nature are not often completely straight. I'm going to add a little line right there for some perspective. I'm going to add 2 lines right there. Looks like a little U with a crack in the middle to finish off another rock. And to make my rock look a little jaggedy, I'm going to add a few lines inside. And we're going to be adding color, so we don't want to fill in the whole thing with black, just adding a few lines. Behind this rock, we're going to add a cactus, and we're going to start by making our way up the page. And cactuses have these really tall branches that look like fingers. So I've had 1 finger here, and I'm going to come up again, and I'm going to add another finger. I'm going to just do an airline right there, and this is going to be a really long finger. I'm going to end it with the top of my cactus, and then add just a few more of these finger-like branches as I make my way down the cactus. That's a pretty large cactus. I'm also going to add just a few lines to make it look like there are some hills in my desert landscape. I'm going to come over to the other side now, and I am just going to add a nice big cactus in the corner. Got like a little rainbow that shows up right there in the corner. And I'm going to make another loop right next to it. I'm going to go and keep adding some of these spines right along there. I can come back along the arms of the cactus. I can add some desert flowers. Just adding 5 loops in a row. You don't need to add the flowers. That's just if you want. And I'm going to add some vegetation over here. Just a few more lines to create some interest in my desert. I'm going to add another cactus over here, only this time it's further up my page. So I'm going to make it smaller so that it appears that the cactus is farther away. So I've got the arm of the cactus coming out. And coming down. If you'd like, you can add a few clouds up in your sky. Just some nice, long desert clouds. Okay, now that our drawing is complete, we're gonna start adding in some color. So I'm not filling it all the way in because I'm gonna go back over it with my brush and my water and turn it into a watercolor. So the same for my sky. I'm not filling it all the way in. And while I have it out, I am gonna color in my railroad tracks. Now we're up here, I don't have a lot to color in. I'm just basically tracing over the lines I drew. But as I get further down, I'm actually just going to trace all around each square and then draw some wood lines right in the center. I'm not going to color them all the way in. You can pause the video until you get caught up. I am going to outline my cactus. And then after I'm done outlining it, I am going to use the green to create more spikes inside. Okay, for some finishing touches, I'm going to keep the green and I'm going to add little bits of grass. I start at the base and I just kind of flick up my marker. I'm going to use my pink one more time just to add little color in these desert flowers. Take my gray and just trace my rocks. What we're going to do is we are going to go over all of the ground with the yellow and the orange, a little bit like the sky, but just not quite as filled in. Okay, I can leave this just like this. It looks awesome. Or if I want to take it one more step, I can bring out my water and my paintbrush. Now for this, I'm going to start with all the yellow areas, and I am going to be careful because I actually want to keep my cloud white. I am going to just start moving my paintbrush around. I'm going to do the same to my plants, and I'm actually going to use my brush in the same motion. I'm just going to start at the bottom and come up just like the bushes do. For the railroad tracks, I am actually just going to use horizontal lines, just same direction as the railroad tracks. And my final step is to do a whole wash over the background. So I'm going to be a little careful as I go around my cactus. And I am simply going to move these colors with the water. And there you have it, your desert landscape with railroad tracks. Thanks for joining me today on Artsonia's After School Art Club. I hope you had a great time drawing your desert landscape.